Hi everyone. In Unit 3 that we are focusing in this week, what I want you to do is to deal with our first case study. Case studies, for those of you who did not work with them before, are an environment or a reading that is rich in information and data, and it tells a story about something that really happened, about an event, who was involved, what did they do, etc. What a case study doesn't tell you is what does it mean. So there is no analysis. It is mostly just reporting. It's like a long version of a news story. And case studies are very useful to work with when we try to apply concepts and skills and methods that we are learning, and to see how those things really work in the real world or in real world cases. If this class was to meet face to face, we will have a case study discussion, and we will do all kinds of activities and work in role-playing ways, or do small groups exercises, and a number of different methods to together digest the information and see how the material that we learn apply in this case. But since we don't have that environment of class discussion, I will use different activities as we are dealing with those cases. And the activity that we're doing this week, or in this unit, is broken into a number of parts. And if I may just take you to the discussion or the instructions that I have for you here in the unit, right? Hopefully you've all read it already, but the number one that you need to do is to read the case. And I ask you to start by reading only part A, and then taking a pause, completing the activity, then you can go back and read part B. That's how I recommend that you do it. In any case, the activity that you should be doing is after you read part A of the case, that you go ahead and download the worksheet that is found right here. And the worksheet looks like that. And the first part of it has this matrix of interest. Something that you'll see once you read the case is that there are many different actors involved in this case. And in this table, what I ask you to do is map the different interests of those different actors. And that will help you to kind of put things in order a little bit, because this is one of the most complex cases that we have here. And after you do that, you do this mapping, which, by the way, you don't have to submit. This is just a tool for you to use. What I want you to then do is to prepare answers to those three questions. Number one, choose one of those actors, one of those countries or groups that you want to represent in the negotiations. And then continue with that mapping. Think who are your allies and who will be those you would have to compete with in the negotiations. And then think about, do you have any level 2 considerations? Again, I know that from our discussions in discussion forum number 2, we all know that level 2 is always present, but the question is, how much? Do people really care that the government is negotiating the CITES agreement, the status of elephants in the CITES agreement, or not, right? So think about your level 2 considerations. And then I want you to create either an audio file, a video file, or a poster, and that answers those 3 questions, and post it on our Padlet that I created for that. A Padlet is like a wall where you can share and then comment. You can share content and then comment. And it's very useful for this kind of audio-visual content that I wanted you to share here. We have example of 2 students. Thank you, Jocelyn and Gary, for being the first 2 to post. And you can click on the poster in this case, and it will open up, and you can read it and review it, right? When you want to post on Padlet, for those of you who've never worked about it, look for this little plus sign right over here. And once you click on it, you'll have your little post on the wall open up, and you can either upload a file, link something if you have like a YouTube clip, or you can record yourself right away or write something right away. Right into the Padlet. One other thing that I want you to pay attention to, unless you open an account with Padlet, which you don't have to in order to post here, your post will come up as anonymous. I have an account, so it shows my name, but otherwise you will not have a name. So just make sure when you're posting and you're commenting to put your name somewhere there. I don't require you to register, right? So I do require you, each one of you, to post. So hopefully in a couple of days, this wall will be full of other posts. And then I require you to read or to review at least some of the other posts and to provide a comment. So thank you, Gary, for being the first to comment on Jocelyn's post here, right? So those posts that you're making, either video, audio, or posters, they don't have to be long, but they have to be to the point. Make sure that you address those 3 questions or instructions from number 2 up here. And I mean, if you want to invest time in the production and how you present things, that's fine, but you don't have to. Any kind of recording or a poster will do just fine. And then I want you to post a comment or a reaction to at least one other student on our digital wall on Padlet. However, it will be really great if we can have multiple posts and comments and really get that interaction and the exchange of opinions here, because once again we're dealing with information-rich environment that needs to be analyzed and thought about. So that's the first and the main part of your activity for this case. After that, go back to the case, read part B, and you can go back to the handout, the worksheet, and if you scroll down, you see there is a matrix of implementation that you can just review. You don't have to do anything with that, although I did place some possible discussion questions for you to think about. This, again, you don't have to submit anything after you did the first part. But I would like you to think about those implementation options because they are important as well. Now, after you've done the activity and read the case and reviewed everything that's involved, you are done with with the mandatory content for this activity. But the other thing that you have to do, and this is throughout the semester, and it's written on the syllabus, is that we are reviewing together 3 cases, and you have to write a case memo on 2 of those. And that's an option. You choose which 2 of the 3 cases, and you can choose to write the memo on this case. And if you do, it is due by March 4. And if you go here to case memos, you'll see, first of all, some instruction and guidelines of what is a case memo, how to write it, what it shouldn't be. You also have case memo examples from things that were written by my students in previous years. So you have an example of what an A case looks like, what a B case looks like, and what a C case looks like. And then finally, in the case memo, after the instruction and the examples, you can go into this folder and you find the place to submit case memo 181 right here. That's, again, if you chose to submit a case memo on this case. And the due date is March 4th. And the reason the due date is later than the activity date, the activity is due by this Saturday, by February 27. The case memo is due later because hopefully you can benefit from the discussion and the posts by other students and my comments on everybody else's work, right? So that is what is required of you in this activity. And now the case that we are dealing with is, like I said, a complex case that reviews rules about trade in ivory and the protection that elephants get from the CITES agreement. It's an international agreement to protect the wildlife. Okay, so that's the case that we are reviewing. There are a lot of negotiations and considerations in that case, and you should be reading it and completing the activity by February 27. And then if you want to submit a case memo, that is due later on by March 4th. But first and foremost, you have to read the case and complete the activity. If you have any questions or you want to make any other comments, or you want me to review drafts or jump off ideas or anything along these lines, just as always, just email me and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. So enjoy the case and enjoy the activity, and I'm looking forward to seeing everybody's work.